Hello.
September the 13th, 2001. We'll call for a moment of silent prayer. Amen.
Amen.
We want to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first thing we need to do is approve the agenda. Anybody got any additions?
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. The approval of the minutes from the regular session. Did all that look like it was accurate?
I make a motion to approve minutes.
You made a motion? All right, who's seconded?
Second.
All in favor?
I'm a withdraw because I hadn't had time to
That's
go
right,
over.
okay.
Mhm.
All right, motion carried. The accounts payable. Got any questions on that?
Make a motion to approve them.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carried. Financial report.
I looked at them.
I haven't had time to go over anything.
If you look over them and you got any questions, you can call
Okay.
after the meeting, I mean, but did it look like everything was in order?
Yeah, it looked in order to me.
No, any motion to
I'll make
approve?
a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Motion's carried. All right, on the appearances, we got Miller County Arts Council, we got Krista Tickton.
Thank you so much for allowing me to address you on behalf of the Arts Council today. As you know, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We're going in our 29th year of establishment in Miller County. We're very excited about that connection. 30 years. We're here today to request a portion of the American Rescue Fund that the city and the county have been dispersed on behalf of the government and the state. And just want to give you a little background of our organization. 92% of our income is revenue generating, which is very unusual for a nonprofit of our size. Most nonprofits have a lot more income and donations coming in different facets and forms. So we generate that money with our plays, the ticket sales from our plays, the tuition at New Life Learning Center, the sales at Market on the Square, and we used to do mural tours with our murals. So as you may know, we employ 26 part-time, full-time, and 1099 employees. And we have really suffered this year as an organization. Many people think that we're well funded by the Gates Foundation. Yes, that's not true. We haven't been since 2018. We haven't received any money from them, and we generate our own funds internally. So, obviously, COVID has hurt us, so we have socially distanced our theater. We've had to really add additional people in our New Life Learning Center as directed by the state, because we have to follow all those guidelines for safety. And we've been operating in the red for 18 months. So we had a cash reserve going into 2018 of excess of $250,000 of pure cash. And we've exhausted all of our funds, and our creditors are very, very lenient with us, and they allow us to pay our bills over time, and First State Bank is our primary creditor. So our losses right now are staggering in the $250,000 range. We are still open, but we are at risk for closing. And we have been. We sent out a plea letter. You all may have seen that in February. We generated $86,000 from that plea letter, which of course we've spent in operating funds. Mott's Apartments. So we have 4 apartments that were devastated. As you know, the roof caved in after Hurricane Michael, and there are 4 apartments up there. It's $147,000 to repair those apartments. And of course, that's our hope, but we haven't been able to do that, to repair them so that we can generate more income for our organization. We have, as an organization to the community, we save taxpayers $128.37 each year just by tourism dollars that come into the county and the city. And we have 12,000 guests come to our shows. And we believe that, we hope that you'll consider our requests, and we know that we will spend our monies wisely. Our board is governed by 13 board of directors, and we take every penny that we spend, we literally have to go through it every month. So I hope that you'll consider our request.
Have y'all got any,
Questions?
have y'all looked over the information she gave us?
We provided our operating statements for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
We've provided, obviously, our sales.
Kitchen
and
sink.
we've provided our logistics and how tourism dollars are spent throughout the state and our contribution to that.
And I'm just gonna throw this out there. One of the things you mentioned about generating the income was the apartments, and they hadn't been finished.
No, sir.
If the board is agreeable, and maybe not at this time, but you can give it some thought. If maybe we agreed to do half the money, you think you could raise the other half to finish the apartments?
Yes.
And then that'd be a source of income for y'all
Yes.
to help keep y'all sustained.
Yes.
Is that something that y'all would consider?
Y'all didn't have insurance on them?
We actually have litigation with homeowners and insurance on our square apartments. It was the ACH building because it was so old, so obviously actual cash and we have elections things, but we have not resolved that with them. We've resolved the bottom half of it, but the upstairs portion has not been resolved.
Y'all wanna give it some thought?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have y'all got anything maybe that in what she's given us, y'all got any questions on, or maybe another idea of something that would help them out? Any kind of way, or wanna think on it a little bit?
Think on it, yeah.
Okay. All right, if y'all hadn't got any more questions, we gonna, when would y'all wanna, the next meeting, or y'all wanna give it that long to think about it?
I think so.
Okay. All right, we'll give it some thought between now and the next regular meeting.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, the next one is, Gabe Spence. Is he here?
No, Gabe called me, and he's not gonna be able to make it, he was stuck in Ozark. He just wanted me to let you guys know that he's having trouble with Daniels and Noble Road. And when it rains real bad, he says it's hard to get up and down the road. He did mention that, Mr. Tedder, I believe lives on the same road. He had a stroke last week, and he was concerned about ambulances if he had another stroke coming down that road, so I just told him to look at it.
Which one is
Andy-
Daniel?
I thought Andy would be here.
Which one is Daniel?
And Noble.
Which one is Daniel, though? That's the one that comes in from,
Both of them's on there, probably.
both of them's on Enterprise Road?
So he just wanted me to kind of touch base with y'all, but I told him I'd come out and look at it.
Yeah, they have done a lot of work on and off out there, but this rain and stuff is going on, and you've got irrigation systems out there
That's
that
what he mentioned.
will shoot water all over the roads, and they won't cut them off, they just sit there and keep shooting water on the road. So, it's not just the county maintaining, it's also other issues that are involved in it. But I do know that Andy and them does spend a good bit of time out there trying to resolve these issues. They put pipe in, they've done quite a few different things out there to try to resolve it.
He also mentioned, I don't know if it's the private lane that he's got, but he had said that the county was scraping that road for him just out of courtesy. But the pipe now, it's gonna hit the pipe, so he's kind of fearing that it's gonna probably cut his tires. So we may need to just either hold off on scraping that until he can get that fixed.
I don't think the scraping no more.
He had said he did, so.
I know that he called her complaining about some trees.
Yeah, he mentioned about the
And
school
Andy
bus.
told him that it was private property, that we were not allowed to do that.
And I agree, if it's not a county road, we don't need to scrape it.
And, Andy and them keep me informed, he does not call me, If he could call me, I'd be more than glad to listen to what he got to say and do the best I can with it,
But he just apologized for not being able to be here, so.
Who's the property owners with the irrigation? You know,
Them,
the Spences?
but they rent it to
Oh.
somebody. They own the land.
Okay. All right, we'll look into it. We got Josh Suggs, the probate judge, and, Jerry, the, registrar, about, Board of Elections. Josh, you wanna talk to us?
I appreciate y'all taking some time from your evening to let me speak. I've come to you guys today to request that y'all look into forming a board of elections. And I'll be as brief as I can, but there are some reasons I would like to put out there that need to be heard at least. Elections, I think we can all agree, is not what it used to be 20 years ago. It's completely different. It's very involved. The equipment is, you want to get that?
Call it back. Tell me it, tell me
The
it.
equipment is more technical than it ever has been. I think that's well documented. I think we all realize that. It's the opposite of easy to use, and it's not going to get any better as elections become more divisive, which I think they will. Elections are no longer a few weeks a year for people that run them. They're year-round. An example of that is I brought with me here, most of the open records requests I get are email. These are the ones that have been sent in to me since January. I deal with them every day. And that's on top of having a calendar for probate and a calendar for magistrate and being the keeper of the vital records. And if you are familiar with open records requests at all, you know that there's a very finite timeline you have to go by to keep myself or the county from being in any kind of suit. They have to be answered appropriately. There's also evidence to suggest that this next major election, which would be next year, the primary and the general, what we're talking about, is going to be basically Georgia's the new Ohio. If y'all remember how Ohio, the nation would look at Ohio afterwards, and Georgia is that now. So all the other states are going to be filing stuff here in our state after every election, and we're going to be dealing with that throughout the year. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. In spite of COVID, the probate and magistrate courts numbers are up overall across the board. So, for example, I did pull some numbers on weapons carry licenses. The last 12 months, we're up 43% in how many weapons carry licenses we did. The 12 months before that, it was up 71%. Those are things that when somebody applies, we have to handle then. We can't put them off just because I have a court calendar that day. They have to be addressed then. And as a matter of fact, they almost passed a law in the Assembly this year that would have required my court to basically handle weapons carry on a first come, first served basis. If they showed up at our window, we had to do it right then. That's an hour-and-a-half process. So it being in a court where we're doing other things, that would have made it difficult. It got tabled, it didn't make it, but that's out there. So dispossessories are also up similarly. I think COVID might have a lot to do with that, but so my numbers in other areas are up is basically the point I was trying to make. But I think we can all here agree that an elected official probably does not need to be running his or her own election. That just seems like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And other probate courts have agreed because there's only about 20 counties in Georgia who still have elections in the probate court. Everybody's been doing what I'm about to explain to y'all that I would like to see Miller County do, and they just see the problems with it. The reason there's not anything being done on a state level, I wanted to address that, is because there's, like I said, about 20 counties that still have it in the probate court, and before the probate council or any of the groups in Atlanta wanted to proceed with something on a statewide level, you know, just generally covering everybody. They wanted it to be unanimous between all those judges. There are 2 judges in the state who do not want to be a part of this. They, quite frankly, get a large supplement for their election, and they want to keep that supplement, so they're not ever going to be on board with that. So all the counties are trying to do their own local legislation in the Assembly through their representative. That's basically how. And I included, I believe, Doug, if you put that in their packets, one of the last ones that have done is White County. It's a pretty simple bill in there, but I put it in there for y'all to look at. Let's see. So basically, local legislation would be introduced to the Assembly through one of our representatives, and it will basically apply to only Miller County. It would create a board of elections that would essentially combine the job of election superintendent, which I currently hold, and the registrar of Miller County, which Mr. Jerry occupies, into one standalone election superintendent position. I've had a lot of conversations with Mr. Jerry. He's fully on board with this and agrees that this is what needs to happen. I've also talked to retired Judge McNeese, and she thinks this is best for the county. She couldn't be here tonight for obvious reasons. So what would the end result look like? It would be the Board of Commissioners would be in charge of hiring an election superintendent. And then the Board of Commissioners would also be in charge of appointing a board of elections. We have a board of registrars right now that's appointed by the grand jury and Superior Court judge. And so that board would basically dissolve, it would become the Board of Elections. And it'd be whoever y'all appointed to those positions. There will be one for each commissioner, I believe. Also, there's a supplement that I get that's paid to me by statute for doing elections. Obviously, that would go away. We'll be aware of that. The salary for Mr. Calhoun would go away, being the registrar, and those funds would be available for, hiring an election superintendent. So that's my spiel. I appreciate y'all's time, and if y'all require me to get, if there's any specific information you want or me to provide anything later, I will. Thank y'all.
Hey, do we need to sit down and talk to you in depth about this right here, or is all this, what you got right here is this bill to be enacted here? Is this pretty much what, we need to follow by?
I believe it is. I've been in contact with another judge in North Georgia that's in this same process. So he's followed all these counties who have gotten that, and he says that this is the pretty much the standard one everybody's using. Of course, they might tweak one or two little things, but I would be glad to sit down and talk to y'all about whatever questions y'all have.
Y'all got any questions for him on this right here? You want to study on it a little bit and let's get back with him?
Yes.
Or how soon, if we decide to do this, how soon would it need to be done? You got a timeline between now and does it need to be done? I don't know what the time, some of this stuff has got to be done before a certain length of time before the next election process even starts.
Right. I would not anticipate this being in effect before the next election, certainly, because it would have to be brought up in session. Session would start back in January. So as far as those documents and our own tailored.
We got till January to figure out who we're gonna put on, who we're gonna hire, who we're gonna put on this board.
You might have longer than that, because I would think that the governor wouldn't sign it until maybe July.
Yeah.
So you'd have in between that to figure out the names, but I would say the bill would probably need to be ready, and the representative would probably need to know about that before January.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Calhoun, will you keep your job, or how's that working?
No, y'all firing me.
All right, now you better stop.
They're just gonna fold it into one, basically, what it amounts
I
to.
think what he's asking is you want to do it.
Well, I told him originally, and I think he told me to, but I've kind of rethought that I would need to find out what we're gonna talk about, as far as compensation and help available, because you're taking two people and making it one, so you have to think about that. But yeah, I'll definitely, be interested in talking.
All right, what, have you done any research, and would two people be able to do it? Or would you have to have more than that?
No, one in part-time.
Can do it?
Cause the push is when you got elections going on. When you don't have elections on, it's just stuff like this. Local records request and the same, the things that I do as registrar, maintaining the list, et cetera.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna be a real big change, as far as personnel.
All right.
If I could add one more thing, I did forget to address that, I apologize. If this change were to take place, we're not talking about purchasing a lot of new major equipment, or we have all that. We're not talking about having to have office space. We have that, he's set up in there, so there's not a lot of logistic, changes.
Yeah.
All right, the Board of Registrars, is it still gonna be in
No,
effect?
it's just gonna be a board of election. You won't be
Okay.
a registrar. Basically doing away with that,
All right.
which pretty much the same thing, other than, like you said, the input would be y'all appointing the board of election and hiring the election supervisor.
Who's the board of registrars now? You got a list of who that is?
Huh?
You got a list of who it is now?
Yeah, right now I've got Tom Foster and Miranda Perkins. They were just appointed. We hadn't even had a meeting yet. 3 is what I have now, but most people in the state use 4 to 5 for a board election.
And they serve, I mean, like a 3-year term, or is it every year?
However you want. You'll be writing the legislation. I don't know if you remember, we talked about it before, but I've got the one for Early County, if y'all want to look at that. You know, see.
They'll be required to go to school, all this stuff.
Not for at the time. You only have to have
You mean for the board members now, correct?
board members, no. Now, 2 of us have to do it for the county, for the state. Which would be 1. Probably a good idea to have 2,
All right, we're gonna need to, we'll go over this a little bit more in detail, and we're gonna need to get up with y'all, both of y'all. Is a certain time that would be better for y'all? Better let us know something.
Not this week. I'm in a conference. No, it varies from day to day. I can make myself available.
All right, we'll try to set up a time that's convenient for everybody. Is that agreeable? No.
Yes.
All right, it's probably going with Nikki with the way she works. Now, with Christine, she's been pushed the same way. Nikki's usually probably after 5:30 one afternoon. Is that going to mess y'all up about going on? All right, we'll see what we can work out. We appreciate it. Y'all have any more questions for them? Okay, thank you now. All right, the Downtown Development Authority. Jamie, you want to go over this stuff?
Oh, slideshow.
Hey, Austin, would you be able to dim the lights in just so she does sit more clearly?
So we on this corner over here.
Can you get over to it?
I can get this one here. It's either gonna be on or off, I don't think there's no.
I think there's no dimmer, is it?
Either off or on.
So good evening. My name is Jamie Smith, and I'm the director of the Downtown Development Authority. The DDA was created by an act of the legislature back in 1981, and its mission is to revitalize, redevelop, and expand the current business areas of Colquitt in order to develop and promote for the common good and general welfare, trade, commerce, industry, and employment opportunities, and to promote general economic welfare of the city, county, and state. The DDA works as an arm of the city, but is independently governed by a board of 7 directors, and it is privately funded. It is the goal of the DDA to enhance the downtown corridor through cohesive coordination of economic activities for a multitude of sectors within the city and the county that would in turn directly benefit Miller County. So with respect to your time tonight and very full agenda, I will be very efficient highlighting opportunities presented in this new document, Colquitt Downtown Development Design Considerations. It's a publication that was completed just last week through the Georgia Downtown Renaissance Project. I welcome more time aside from the meeting to answer any of your questions, or if you have any ideas, concerns, or if you want to talk about how awesome you think it is, I welcome that too. So we start out with the table of contents, and again, this is just concepts, and so this is nothing that is already funded or anything that has to happen, but it's some ideas of how to revitalize our downtown corridor. So it's going to outline the buildings that we addressed in this study. So the project was funded in large part through a Georgia Power Economic Development Grant, and that grant was awarded back in December to the DDA. Matching funds were acquired through the Georgia Municipal Association and the Georgia Cities Foundation in association with the Carl Vinson Institute of Government at UGA and the College of Environment and Design at UGA. The collaboration with the Colquitt DDA is one of the most recent completed through this Georgia Downtown Renaissance Partnership that began in 2013. And it was set up to assist cities with downtown strategic visioning, planning, design, and technical services. So through the project with UGA, the fellowship program assigns emerging design professionals to work with local downtown development leadership, and these are the two students that worked on the Colquitt project. Here is just an overview of some of the Colquitt and Miller County data. To the left, that is the 1906 historic map of downtown Colquitt. You can see the courthouse right here, and it was produced by the Sanborn Map Company for fire insurance purposes. And then this is just some introductions. So we explored the existing downtown conditions, and again, there is the courthouse. It's the epicenter for all the downtown work and the renderings that we worked on. And then we have some other points. We have Cotton Hall here, which is a huge element to bringing in tourists, and also it's just part of our creative community building. And then, of course, here's the hospital campus, and then we have the avenues going off the square. Here's the proposed development. These are the buildings that are, and I know it's kind of fuzzy to see on the screen, but these are the addresses of the buildings that appear in red. And there were design considerations taken into the courthouse square with some enhanced pedestrian safety and landscaping. So again, this was all about looking at what we have, inventorying, and then what kind of opportunities for infill and redevelopment. So this is 102 West Main Street. It is privately owned at this time, and redevelopment shows that it could include the creation of a welcome center with outdoor seating and a public restroom. This idea originated after studying Bainbridge's successful downtown public restroom right off their historic square. This creates a functional and attractive landing point for tourists and residents alike, and also note this was really important in the study that these crosswalks were repainted just to help pedestrians move about our town a bit easier. So there's an interactive mural too right here on this back corner, and that was one of the elements too that we showed as one of our strengths, is that we do have a lot to see in town for someone that's never been here, and for folks that do live here, they may not know the story of all of our murals. Here we are at 103 North Cuthbert Street. This property is also owned, what's owned by the Downtown Development Authority. It does have a current tenant who is moving to a shop on the square. And there is an international franchise that's interested in purchasing this location. And here you'll see that the redevelopment includes an exterior outdoor seating area, sidewalk enhancement, tree grates, and a parking lot. So again, helping to ease how people move and utilize some of our spaces downtown. This is what we refer to as the Shell Building. It's located at 112 North First Street. It's owned by the Hospital Authority, and there is an opportunity being sought to improve this structure through rehabilitation and new use through some state funding programs. But this is, does everybody know where this is? It looks much different in this picture, but the food mart's right there. And here is the Terra with a fresh coat of paint and some exterior work being done. The Terra structure is owned by the Downtown Development Authority. Structural issues and resulting interior damage need to be remedied. Future opportunities to reopen are being explored. This historic structure is an anchor to the downtown square and serves an important function for lodging and dining in Colquitt. Here we have Mr. Clyde's old office. This was recently purchased for redevelopment by the Downtown Development Authority. It's a desirable location because it does have the drive-through and a nice parking lot on the backside. So this is what it could look like. And this is the corner here at Cuthbert. in Maine. This was also acquired by the Downtown Development Authority, and it's another desirable location ready for rehabilitation to enhance economic activity on the square. Here we have 150 East Main, and it does have an active tenant in it, and the building owners repainted it a couple weeks ago, and it looks different. So the painting happened before this publication happened, but a lot of what UGA talked about was utilizing what we have and activating windows and signage, all for placemaking. So again, note the crosswalk restriping. Just on the other side of that building is 152 East Main. This building is really important to prevent any future damage and mitigate the damage that has already been done, because it has one of the most expensive and one of my favorite murals that we have in town. Again, this is just a placeholder. They made it an event space, but this could be a host of other things, and it's so close to Cotton Hall, and there's a story box located to the east side of that building. And let's see. Here we have 103 North First Street. Mr. Jerry's already left, but this is the old Automat Printers building. The structure is in significant disrepair. I'm working with an architectural firm out of Thomasville to address if this building can be saved. But if it can, we will. It is owned by the DDA, and this is just dressing it up a bit for some type of redevelopment purpose. Next, the fudge warehouses. Again, this was a significant change that happened between the study period and the publication, but the fudge warehouses were torn down. They were in a lot worse shape than we thought they were. We had tried to get creative and try to reuse those places, but what we've done, the DDA owns the parcel and the parcel next to it, and we've cleared those for redevelopment. Some of the next pictures are going to show you just some ideas, and again, this is all just concepts, so nothing is set in stone. But some of the design considerations include creating some residences back on North Cuthbert right here. In option 1 are some single-story detached. You would be able to get 4 units. And what we found out after the demo of 104 North Cuthbert is there's already an alleyway back there. It's just grown up in bamboo. So the idea of having a downtown alleyway that connects the people's homes back to the main thoroughfare is old style. So option 2 is there on the left, and that would be 6 2-story detached townhome type homes, and then your option 3 is your traditional 2-story attached townhome, and that would have 8 units. Again, these are not set in stone, so there's also consideration to have some mixed-use residential commercial development there, since it is right off the square, and across the street is where the international franchise is looking. So this is going to address some of the issues with the town square design. Let me get caught up in my notes here. These are circulation considerations, all about how pedestrians and cars move around the square. So this is the target area. And the landscaping considerations took in account an inventory. So there's now an inventory of the plants, the trees that are on the courthouse square, as well as we now have a parking inventory of the parking inside the square and off the square. So with the town square master plan, there were 2 focused priorities. The first was to improve connectivity in and around the square to facilitate pedestrian flows between downtown businesses, the hospital, and Cotton Hall. And then the second was to ensure continuity of the tree canopy and other plantings in the town square and along the streetscape to provide much needed shade, visual interest, and the protection of pedestrians from traffic. Here's a rendering of what the courthouse could look like. This is facing west, looking at the courthouse. It shows additional bump outs here, as well as some striping and some new ADA striping and crosswalks that would connect the square to the outer ring of the square. This, in a sense, expands access. It makes it a bit easier for those that are elderly or disabled. And here we are facing east. And this rendering just shows the landscaping and the pedestrian safety enhancements. It gets you, instead of just having the end of the corners to walk to the other side of the square, this would be mid-square paths to the businesses, restaurants, and other professional service offices. This is taken from Cuthbert. Again, just a rendering to show what utilizing some landscaping would do to enhance just the aesthetic and the way that people are utilizing the downtown square. So what they found in their studies is there's not a sidewalk. It's not very pedestrian friendly on that south side of the square in front of the post office and McMurray's. And so this shows sidewalk, crosswalks, the ADA striping to let folks know that may need assistance, that they have reached the end of a sidewalk and are about to enter a lane of traffic. And again, the plantings. Let's see. So along with the visual interest, the landscaping provides shade, and that lowers the temperature on that hot black asphalt as people move around. And studies also suggest that street trees in similar areas decrease traffic speed by at least 3 miles an hour. So this is the southeast corner where the big drain is. You can see here there's a fire hydrant and then that storm drain that's here. This is utilizing bioswale plantings so that we would capture the water there a bit quicker than letting it pool up and drain, very flashy in a way, and utilizing those plants to filter that water, and it creates a safer area for folks as we are encouraging people to move around the square. And there's some really good grant funding opportunities for this. So the 4 important factors that they fleshed out of our conceptual designs were for streetscape design, the accessibility, the legibility and navigability, comfort and safety of others, and the visual interest in highlighting the important aspects of the local community and points of interest that encourage foot traffic and visitors to downtown. Here we are back on North Cuthbert. We're headed south on that sidewalk there. And again, sidewalk enhancements and planting enhancements. It creates a walking corridor of sorts, that 2 blocks from the hospital. And it kind of creates a space that people hopefully would want to travel down to the commercial business district on the square. One of the other elements that they fleshed out during the study is that we really need to capitalize more on our story boxes and create a place so that folks know that they can stop and go listen to the story boxes. And so part of that work would be doing some marketing. The DDA would do some marketing in conjunction with any other collaborative partners. So you have a digital guide or even a printed guide so that folks would have opportunities to know where the story boxes are, and would create more of a sense of place for folks that would want to go see them. I tried to be very quick tonight, so I appreciate y'all's time very much. If you have any questions, please let me know. I've brought y'all paper copies of this book for you to have and to ask questions. My card is stuck in each one. Y'all are the first public presentation of this, so I look forward to any of your feedback.
Y'all got any questions for her tonight?
That was beautiful. That was really
Great
nice.
ideas, yes,
Very nice.
very beautiful.
It was pretty.
Yeah.
But just, it really shows the potential, and I know that sometimes words don't speak as vividly as the pictures, and we're very fortunate to have the Carl Vinson Institute and UGA work with us on this, for sure.
Jamie, what role is the county gonna play in any of this?
Well, first of all, I wanted y'all to know this had happened and that funding had been acquired to make this publication happen. And it's just concepts, it's ideas to get creative with some of the potential problems that we have. The courthouse square is underutilized, is what one of the elements of the book says. And so we had the Chamber of Commerce had a very successful, our community had a very successful Mayhaw Festival on the courthouse green. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity to enhance what we do have, and that's just what this book goes to show. And so I'm actively seeking grant opportunities, and so I would at times just need a resolution of support that you all would vote on and sign for whatever the project might be. I just want to keep y'all engaged. Really, one of my main thrusts is to bridge gaps in communication. So I wanted y'all to know what had been going on and to actually see these renderings for the potential that we have.
Well, all right, keep us updated on this. We'll go over this book and we may be back in touch with you if we got any questions.
Sounds good. I
All
appreciate
right.
it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everything was beautiful.
Thank you.
Very.
And what's great is there's plenty of other opportunities to create renderings for other projects as well in that downtown corridor as things change.
All right, we appreciate it. The next thing is old business. While you're here, if you don't mind, we're gonna skip down here on the development authority with the roof problem.
Yes.
You wanna talk to us a little bit about
I
that?
can, because it's definitely plaguing a lot of my work. So the Terra and the courthouse annex were both, use my words carefully, had roofs put on by the same contractor. The roof at the Terra is leaking, the roof at the annex is leaking. I have not seen anything about the courthouse annex, but I know from the Terra in great detail that it was not installed properly, and it has created a significant amount of damage and stress to the building, that historic building. So the DDA board voted last year to retain the services of Watson Spence out of Albany. Chris Foreman is the attorney. To pursue legal action for some type of remedy for the issues at the Terra. I had reached out to Doug a couple of weeks ago and just said, hey, wanted to make sure that you knew that we were doing this against the contractor. There is a large file at the county sheriff's department for a privately owned residence that had the same contractor put a roof on. So every project that contractor did while he was in Colquitt has led to a disastrous result. We want the Terra back open, but it's going to take a lot of money to get that roof fixed. And in addition to the roof actually not working as a roof to keep the building weather tight, those pitched roofs and that material defies the National Historic Register codes. So in order for the square, all the buildings on the square, to maintain that National Historic designation, we've got to go back to those flat top roofs. We do have a roofing contractor that has studied the architectural style and looked at the issues with stuffers and just getting that water off the roof. But it would be the same thing with the courthouse annex, is that pitched roof has got to go, and it's got to go back to a 60 or 80 mil rubber membrane on that flat roof in order to not be defying historic code anymore. And the reason that's important is because there are funding opportunities in the future for historic rehabilitation. But we've got to have that National Register designation.
How much time have we got on that before they take that away?
I haven't been given a timeline, but usually in the code you
So
have.
as long as we say we're working towards it, we're probably okay.
So it's very understanding, and another kink in all of this historic designation and money is that the states Historic Preservation Program, which gets that pass-through money from the Department of the Interior, which houses the Historic Register. The state moved the Historic Preservation Program from DNR, which it's always been at DNR since it was created, to DCA, the Department of Community Affairs. And so that's transition's hard, right? Change is hard. And so that's created kind of a snowball effect for some of those grant funding programs. Because I had applied for a grant for the Terra's exterior, and it just keeps getting pushed back. So, and it was all related to Hurricane Michael, the trigger point for that grant funding. So, I've been a strong advocate for the Terra with the state, looking for any kind of help. And so the DDA board last year, when they voted to enter into a lawsuit, we're just trying to figure out how to get the solution implemented. And that's going to take money, so I'm out trying to find money to get that roof fixed. And the lawyer, because I had mentioned the courthouse annex, knowing that y'all were having to move out and the mold issues, and that the contractor did not do a very adequate job. And so that's why I reached out to Doug and just said, hey, I want to make sure you knew that we were doing this for the Terra. It would strengthen the lawsuit if the county were to join in too. So, and there's opportunity to talk to that attorney, to ask questions.
All right, and I don't have anything in front of me. The man's insurance, bond and stuff like that right there, you know anything about that?
If we could, I could talk to you out of session about some of those finer details of that lawsuit.
If I don't get the opportunity to talk to you, pass that information along to Doug,
Okay.
and he can get it all to us. Y'all got any more questions for her on anything?
No.
Okay. All right, we thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, back to the old business, the commissioner's office, that was the damage, and we kind of went over that right there, what she was talking about. But the move that we were gonna make, Doug, you wanna update us on?
Yeah, the move's kind of on hold. We've got one last room that we've got to clean out, and that's the tax assessor's important documents, and they just can't be put in anywhere, so we have to have it double locked, and we're having trouble finding where's a good place to put them at. So I guess the move's on hold until we can figure out where we're gonna locate it.
They hadn't got room down there, nothing to put them down there.
What's that?
They hadn't got in a room that they could,
No, because when we move in there, it's gonna take up every one of the rooms.
I'm talking about the tax assessor's office, they hadn't got no room.
He says they don't. Not for all that, because it takes up one of the largest rooms down there. So we're kind of looking at all avenues to see what's the best place to move.
All right,
I'm just concerned about y'all being there that
I am
long.
too.
Very concerned about that.
But we're closed. The Spring Creek Health has moved all their stuff, and just waiting on us. They're aware of the move and you know where that we may occupy it. And, so we're just that one last piece we're trying to figure out now.
if it came down to it for the time, would y'all, and we'll talk to Cody about it, maybe put some of these records in one of secured storage facility, a climate control thing for a short period of time?
Yeah, if it get them in there quicker.
Mm-hmm.
We may have to do, I don't know what all would be involved in moving that stuff, but anyway,
We kind of talked about putting it up there at the county commission office, but that's still not doing any good because they have to go up to the record address field to be supposed to. The quicker we can get that moved, we can figure that out.
we'll keep working on it. All right, the next thing is the sheriff department surplus vehicle list. Y'all look over this. Do you want to run this in the paper as is, or got any questions on it?
I know most of the stuff is basically about junk. I was just running to get rid of it.
Do what now?
That's most of it, pretty well will slam out junk.
You want to run this in the paper?
Yeah. Just go ahead and get rid of the stuff and
is there any, the condition that this in, is there anything needs adding to this right here to
First of all,
make it look, the description a little bit better, or just leave it like it is? All right.
I'd play it straight with it, stuff isn't wild, you know.
All right, we need a motion to run an ad in the paper to dispose of this surplus stuff from the sheriff's department.
But we had a right to refuse bids on that.
Yep.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Christine?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. All right, the sheriff department lawsuit.
There's nothing else on there.
Okay. Fueling station.
I don't know if you guys know about it, but we actually have the tank in place. They were getting ready to do the rest of the concrete I guess today. So, it's gonna be 2 weeks before the PSG comes back, who is the vendor to install all the stuff. So we have to go ahead and make a decision on how we're gonna do the fueling. We have to have at least 1,000 gallons in each tank to purge the lines. But it's getting so close now, we've got to decide if we want to go with a contract with somebody, or do we want to go ahead and purchase our own monitoring equipment and then just bid it out when we need fuel. I've enclosed 3 bids, in there. One's from Total Petroleum out of Bainbridge. They don't have any kind of, contract. It's, you buy it for the price that they give you that day, but they do have monitoring equipment in there, so we would basically have to buy from them. If we did buy from somebody else, they would come get their equipment, or we could buy it from them. And the next one is, Petroleum Products out of Thomasville, which is owned out of a company out of Waycross. They're wanting a 1-year contract, 3 cents over the jobber's price. Also, we'll do the electronic monitoring system, and, but with them, I don't know what the daily price is. So that's kind of, to me, you get a 100-year contract, and you could pay a whole lot for it. And then the third one is Grice, and they don't have monitoring systems. So it's either we buy our own monitoring systems. I think they're about 1,000, a little bit more, and we would monitor the price, and then we could actually, at that day, we could say, okay, call around and this is how much we need, what is your price, and then we go with the lowest price. So that would give pretty much all of them, you know, the bid process versus a contract. The only thing is the ones, if we're not under contract and we don't have enough fuel when a hurricane comes through, or there's a pipeline like it happened, they're not gonna provide us fuel. So we gotta make sure we keep that tank full. Because they're gonna, if you're under contract with them, what they told me is they're gonna provide for those people first. And then if you're just like a daily buyer or a buyer as needed, you'll get it when you can. And they may or may not have fuel. But with that size of that tank, if we keep it full enough, I don't think we'll have to worry.
Mm-hmm.
So that's up to you guys, however you want to do it.
The monitoring system, give us an idea about where's the information coming to? And is it gonna be on, can you pull it up on the computer and look at it through the office?
The way it works, and in fact, I got with Andy, and we went with Barbara out of Halsey. What they'll do is they'll put a electronic device in each tank, and it's like Wi-Fi enabled. So we're gonna have internet out there for the cameras to monitor to make sure nobody's spilling any gas. But what it's gonna do is it's gonna send it back to our email address, and it's capable of saying, okay, you set it to like 10%, 20%, 30%, or whatever that tank is, and when it reaches that level, it emails you and says, hey, we need fuel. So, if we were under contract, it would also email the vendor and say, hey, we need fuel, and then they would just contact us. But if we go ourselves, it's gonna email us and say, we need fuel, and then we decide how much fuel we want to put in the tank. So, it travels over the internet.
So when do we need to make a decision on this by?
Well, honestly, as quick as possible, because if we run short, then we're not gonna be able to get fuel put in that tank. So we've got to know how we want to do it. If we go with the equipment, then we can just buy it, and we can call them up and say, hey, I need this amount, and it don't matter who it is. whether it's Sharber, Inland,
And Barbara will install all that?
yes.
I'd be okay with Barbara doing that and then just buying the fuel as needed, pricing it.
You wanna go with us owning our own monitoring system?
I would say that don't tie you down to, then you could buy from anybody.
Y'all wanna go with
I
that?
mean, if it ain't but
I
$1,000, I
agree with
mean,
All right, need a
what's
motion
another
to,
1,000 when you talking about that kind of way?
need a motion to install our own monitoring system.
I make a motion, we install our own.
So,
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. What else did we need to act on that right there other than just purchasing the monitoring system?
That's pretty much it. Because then what happens is, once it's installed, I'm hoping it'll be installed before we get fuel, and then we'll just contact around and say, hey, this is how much we need.
All right. Did he tell y'all about the shelter that we had talked about? It can't be fully sheltered. The pumps are internal. Something was to happen to one of the pumps, it'd have to be lifted out through the top of the tank, and you can't fully shelter the thing. There's gonna be a shelter over where you're gonna fill up at, like a gas station. That's the only part that's gonna be sheltered, which I think that's gonna cut way back on the expense on that part right there, but that's all we can do with the rest of it. Just gonna have to be left open.
It'll be 20 foot,
On the end.
The whole, yeah, that'll be, and that'll cover most any, Andy, how long is the motor grader?
30 foot?
Most of it.
30 foot?
Yeah, 30 footer, but you don't fill up at, I mean, the front don't have to be under there, I mean, just where you fill it up, you just pull up and be under the shelter.
So that's where the pumps will be, and that's all that's gonna be sheltered on the thing. Is there anything else at this point with that we need to do?
Other than down the list, we have to go ahead and sign the bank loan, but that, you'll get that.
Okay. All right, y'all got any questions on that? All right, next thing we're going on to the new business is the mobile home decals, the resolution. Did, Doug, you wanna tell us about that, or, I mean, I know a little bit about it, but you may.
All right, so basically what me and Jennifer have been talking about, what this is a legislation that was passed by the General Assembly this past year. It just gives the county the ability to opt out of requiring decals, in lieu of the permits. I mean, she'll still collect all of the money. It's not gonna cost us anything. It's actually gonna save money because Jennifer won't have to buy permits, the decals. And I think, Jennifer, now, so it takes the tax assessor out, how is that? So,
Tax assessor is supposed to go out and control
Yeah.
every building, delinquent mobile home
Okay.
detail. Taking them out, they don't have to do that anymore.
Okay.
They don't have to do that.
so it'll free them up to do other stuff.
So no extra work.
Yeah.
It's the same.
So any delinquent taxes would go through your office just like it would if it was a regular house?
Free of cost, correct.
Y'all got any questions on that? You wanna go with adopting this resolution to delete the decals from the mobile homes?
yeah, I'll make the motion to go with it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion's carried. We done went over to downtown, the lawsuit. We got the COVID policies, page 60 through 63. Did y'all review that?
Mhm.
You got any questions on it? Do you wanna adopt that?
It's the reason we just didn't have a COVID policy, and, it's the policy that's basically circulated through all the county offices. It states that, if you do catch COVID, your job's gonna be safe, you don't have to worry about that, but you do have to use your PTO time. If you don't have PTO time, you can't have it donated to you. The government stopped for the first of the year, they stopped paying for it, so every county's pretty much going to the model of you have to use your PTO time. So we just didn't have a policy in place.
I'm fine with it.
Ain't everybody doing this now?
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. I know we're doing that work.
All right. Alan, you gonna make a motion or, is there a second on that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
All right, the motion's carried. All right, the purchases and payables, POs, credit card policy draft. Did y'all review that? I looked over the thing, and the only thing I saw on part of the credit card part, it didn't actually say it on the receipt part, itemized receipts. Unless I overlooked it, did y'all, is that in there anywhere? If it's not in there, I think you need to add it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You doing that where general guidelines is right there?
I didn't underline it in here, and I don't know where I even seen it at now. It's got, this is on page 67, it's on the H. I think that's
Must
it.
be submitted at least 10 days prior to the due date, reflected on the credit card bill. You want to itemize, you just want it
I think it
itemized?
needs to be itemized receipt, because if you eat at a restaurant and you just get, you don't,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that was called in question here a while back. Some receipts was turned in and they weren't itemized, it just had a total on there. But that needs adding, I think. Are y'all agreeable with that?
Yeah.
Another thing, my way of thinking about the POs, and the road department has been away from that. Partially because I think Shelley worked up there at the office up there, and she just took on that role over there with their own POs, but all the POs need to go and come out of the county commissioner's office for every department.
Rick called me this morning, he is not gonna go along with it.
Well, this is the deal. The bill's getting paid out of the county commissioner's office. Some of his employees have called around the vendors, told them to send the bills down yonder. He can't pay his own bills. Now, they can send him a copy of the thing if they want to. I may okay with that. But the bills need to come. It's gonna be some trouble, but we're gonna have to call each individual vendor and tell them to send the bills to the county commissioner's office. So this whole thing, I mean, if he does that, then that opens it up for every other department to do their own thing, and that ain't gonna work. Yeah, I mean, you disrupting a system that's been in place for the last 30 or 40 years probably, and it just don't need to get started like that. I mean, it's an invitation for trouble.
I'll go ahead and tell y'all just straight out, he's gonna fight us on it.
Well,
He's gonna fight us, he just get.
it ain't, when the vendor, when they pull in there to get the oil changed on a vehicle or whatever they wanna do, and, they need a PO, they just got to call the county commissioner's office to get a PO, and whoever the, employee is, put their name on it, the bill, and it's gonna be a little bit of a trouble, but we're gonna have to call each one and tell them if they wanna get paid, they're gonna have to send a bill to the county commissioner's office.
Yeah, we've seen several that they took upon themselves to, get the address changed to go to the sheriff's department instead of our office. So now they get it and we have to wait for them to send it to us.
But and it's,
So if there's late charges because of that, our office ain't gonna need them, they're gonna be charged.
Well, best thing to do, this is just me talking, y'all have input on it. I'm sticking with the old plan, and it's gonna be a little bit of legwork to call each individual vendor and tell them if that's what they wanna do. Are y'all agreeable with that? Or y'all got some input on it?
I just wanna make sure that we within the law, everything that we do, because I don't wanna see us get.
Well,
caught in the
Rick's
law.
not the taxing authority, and I think the county attorney, they can do their own thing. I done talked to the auditor about it. If they wanna send a copy of, the bill to him, got no problem with that. But the bills need to come to the county commissioner's office. That's where the check's gonna be issued. There's no need for them to go down there and then have to walk them up there to us and then go, and there's no need in it. They need to be billed directly to us. And if they want to send them a receipt, that's just the way I think about the thing. I mean, you go in a roundabout way, there's no need in it. I mean, you're disrupting something that's been in place and been working well.
The vendor department did that, we would never get bills paid.
I just want us to stay within the guidelines and not, we can't afford a lawsuit. So if we stand within the guidelines of what our job duties is and his, I mean, I don't see no problem with it, but we don't want to overstep and get a lawsuit.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I feel like that's what he's
So,
doing. I really do.
so if it's, I mean,
Can we get something from the county attorney saying?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna, that lady saying too.
The county attorney said and we've talked to him, not in detail, but some. He can do his own PO system. But the thing about it is, he can't disrupt what's going on over here. The bills are getting paid here. He can do whatever he wants to down there. If he wants to set up his own PO system. But if a vehicle pulls in down yonder to get the oil changed down here, I'm gonna give you an example, Hall Oil Company. Or just say somebody had to go to Stone down there in Bainbridge. And I done been in there a lot of times. What they ask to start off with, what's your name, what's the company, who you want it billed to, do you need a PO number? They'll pick up the telephone, you tell them who to call, the office up there, they'll get a PO, they'll put it on the invoice. That's what they need to do. It's just that simple. That's what they've been doing, basically. And I mean, they fixing to rearrange everything that we've been doing for the last 30 years or forever, more or less. And there's no sense in it. It's not going to enhance anything they got going on down there. Not one thing. Not going to make anybody keep up with anything any better. Now, we can get an official statement from the county attorney if that's what y'all want. But,
I'd rather have, from the attorney than to sit and vote on,
and I'm gonna ask for a statement from the
do it
auditor
the legal
also.
way and stay within our legal guidelines and, we don't want to overstep and then we get sued for, something that's not within our guidelines.
All right, we'll go that route. We'll get some input from the county attorney in a letter or an email. And the auditor. But we need to we can hold up on the PO. Go ahead.
I spoke with the auditor. Yes, we still have to have itemized receipts. Even, I think, if we don't get the receipt, what he's always told us to do is have the department head write up something. Now, of course, they can't do that 100 times, but every once in a while, if you lose a receipt, well, they're not cooperating with that. We shouldn't ask them for that if it's less than $20, that's just nickel and diamond, but I have to have a receipt if it's 50 cents.
That's state, more or less,
And I
guidelines
talked to Perry, and he
from
said,
the auditor.
He said he doesn't care how much, if it's 25 cents, we need a receipt.
All right.
And I know that they can lose receipts, but all we ask is that department head writes up something saying, I know what happened, the receipt was lost, I authorized this, but we can't even get that.
Listen, everybody need to understand, we are responsible for the taxpayers' money, every penny of it. Every penny.
Well, that's the whole point of what I was just speaking about. I mean, you opening up the door for something to get mishandled here that's been working well. But I mean, we can hold up on the PO thing for right now, but the credit card policy, we need to adopt that. I mean, that's just the way I feel about the thing. And that's, I mean, it's pretty much laid out there plain black and white about it. Now, there can be a little bit of.
I don't think there should be a question about the credit card policy.
No, I don't either.
I mean, none.
I don't either.
As long as you itemize it like you said.
Within the law, that's all I'm gonna say about that, as long as we're
In the law.
following, the law, cause I just don't wanna see us get no lawsuits, I tell y'all.
Well,
We
no,
can't
but
afford it.
With an itemized, I mean, that's just everywhere you're supposed to have an itemized statement when you're
We'll
paying.
get
I
written
mean,
up if we don't have them, but I don't think this is going to, we can adopt this if we want to, but I don't think that's going to make any difference
Well,
with certain departments.
we need to adopt it, and to it be official, we need to adopt the credit card policy, and we can revisit the PO thing. But I'm calling for a motion to adopt the credit card policy tonight.
But you need to put it in there, you said you didn't find it in there, but it was, to be itemized or anything.
He needs to add that about the itemized receipt.
I just wrote it right there on H right there, itemized receipt.
But have we got a ruling on the county attorney on this? That we are 100% within the legal
as far as an
Guidelines of law.
itemized
Yeah, come on, credit card. deal.
credit card, yeah.
I think that's just pretty much operating procedure, I think, with any business, I think.
I didn't talk to the lawyer, I talked to the accountant.
Yeah.
And he will, he's gonna write us up if we don't have them. I don't feel comfortable paying these bills.
I think the rules that she's talking about is coming back from the Department of Treasury, don't it?
No, I agree 100%, we got to be accountable for every penny. They need to turn in receipts
Well, let's
and
adopt the
balance the
credit.
books.
Let's adopt the credit card policy. If there's something that's not 100% there, we'll revisit the thing, but I think we need to do that tonight. And we can get some input from the county attorney and the auditor on the other that's written down so y'all can review it. But we got the credit card policy, it's in here, and I done looked over it. Can we get a motion on that?
I make a motion we adopt it.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
I wanna read over it more.
Well, I'm
I'm not
gonna vote to
gonna,
do it.
yeah,
I just wanna make sure that we're legal 100%.
yeah.
All right, the motion's carried. We got 3 votes on the credit card policy. We'll revisit the PO. And we'll get the information from the county attorney and the auditor, so you can read it. David Henry, we got the conservation employment agreement, and that's with her employee down there, and it's something we've been doing in the past, and she works on the irrigation retrofitting and first, I think that all that information's in here, isn't it?
Yep, I put a copy of
Uh-huh.
the contract and, just a cover sheet kind of telling, I think most everybody's familiar with it, except maybe Miss Christina and Miss Nikki, but we've been doing this for about 12 years now, part-time position. USDA pays for half the salary and the county pays for the other half. She works 40 hours every 2 weeks, so she's a half-time employee. And since I retired 3 years ago, I'm a half-time employee, so if either one of us quit, they're probably gonna close that office down because they're not refilling these positions. And just in the last 2 years, she's had a contract there, we made payments to farmers of $2,139,000. So the office generates a lot of income for the farmers in Middle County, and it costs the county $7,000.
What would happen if y'all closed? Would that go to Bainbridge or somewhere?
Probably early again.
Early County?
But this is a 2-year contract. She gets no benefits or anything, it's just a straight salary.
So I make the motion, we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion's carried.
You gonna sign that?
You need to take it with you now?
Yeah, it'd be good if I can, or I can pick it up in the morning. Every day.
Is it state funded or federal?
It's federal,
Federal.
but the contracts run
Right here.
through the state of
State,
Georgia.
yeah, that's where it gets confusing. You got all that, Nikki?
Yeah.
Miss Debbie, that does a lot for us. We can't lose her.
Yeah, I remember this from,
Last time?
Yeah, print your name out loud.
You'll be the printer.
Yeah.
Here.
You know what day it is? I tell you.
I
what.
called it
Thank
out a
y'all.
while ago.
Appreciate it.
All right, the next thing we got is the radio tower down there. We got some problems that that radio tower ain't been maintained the way it needed to be maintained for the last few years. As a matter of fact, probably not really ever. It needs to be lit because of the survival flight helicopter. And we got a letter from them. Did I have it? It ain't in here, is it?
The survival flight.
I think I had it afterwards, I'll get you the copy, but basically what it states, that they sent the letter to me and actually to the sheriff and just tagged me in on it. They're stating that they're having a big, I think it's either FAA or
Yeah, I got
big accreditation companies coming down to do an audit on them. And if that tower is not lit, they'll lose millions of
I
dollars.
done looked at it.
You got,
And I'm not gonna say it's losing them, but, the rule is that tower is under a certain height, but with it being right near an airport, which they call a helicopter pad airport, it has to be lit and painted. And so.
That
like
sounds
Ms. Craig was
expensive.
getting to, you're looking at $30,000 to $40,000 for.
It's $32,000.
Just to repair it.
Have y'all got a copy of this? All right. $32,000 to get that tower back up to code.
I ain't got no paper like you got.
I
We ain't got that.
any of that.
I ain't got that.
All right. Just to light the tower, that is a temporary fix. It's $5,000 something to light it. The tower, it's got to have new guy wires on it. It's got to have, and it's got to be completely, what's there can't just be parts taken off and put back. It's got to have a total, the way that our wires are anchored and everything has got to be redone to the tune of $32,000. We got the opportunity. The city's gonna put up their own tower. And they're gonna put all this is supposed to go through one antenna. The fire department, police department, all, and public works. And this is what's on, this is what's got to be run through the tower. Fire, EMS, sheriff's office, police department, road department, and public works. All this can be put on one antenna. And they're gonna put the antenna up. It's not gonna cost us anything.
The city is.
Yes. But where they wanna put it, they got to get on 20 feet. They need about 40 feet. It's gonna be a freestanding tower. It won't have any guide wires on it at all. And they need to be on 20 foot of county property. And they were going to write up an intergovernmental agreement that we had use of the tower for the exchange of them using the property.
Where's it gonna put it at?
It's going to be right there kind of behind the police in the city hall. I don't know the exact, I don't know the exact spot. But where they got to put it is going to be 20 foot on the county side.
In the park?
In the park a little
Yeah,
bit,
what's
yes.
See more up there towards where that old racquetball court.
Yep, where that wall is there.
I'm fine with it, as long as they make sure they put something around, some kind of enclosure around to keep you on the fly.
They said they would fence it in.
That
Oh, yeah, I
ain't
think
gonna- that's no problem.
Yeah.
But it will, I can't see spending $32,000 on that tower when we can get on this one for free with the exchange of the land. Only thing they're gonna ask for, if it was something that was mutually owned by city and county, and there's gonna be some repeaters on there. It's gonna be if lightning would strike the thing that they're not actually gonna own. And one of them's gonna be for the EMS, and one of them's gonna be for the sheriff's office. And the other one is gonna be, there's gonna have to be a provision for the road department also. So there's gonna be 3 repeaters on this new tower instead of 4. And, cause the road department had a separate one. But, anyway, that's kind of it in a nutshell right there. But I think that's the way to go, cause, you fit to spend $32,000 on a structure down there. And I don't say it's gonna be wasted money, but the only thing, cause the city's gonna move their stuff off of it. And you just got the opportunity to go on it with them for the exchange of the land. And now, they're gonna have an agreement, pending that we agree on this, drawn up by an attorney, that states this, that for the use of the property, we swap out for the use of the tower.
I think that's a good swap.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna cost us anything.
No, but y'all, before
We just had to move our stuff
we're
from the old
going-
tower to the new tower.
this is,
That'd be the only cost we'll have.
what's going up on the new tower is gonna be new. I think there's some
New stuff.
repeaters that's gonna be that's basically new, that's just gonna be swapped
Mhm.
from that. See, I'm telling you, 911 is transmitting off this old tower.
And
I'm
what it's gonna
surprised
cost us to swap? It's gonna cost us anything to swap? Okay.
They may be some minimal little
How
labor
much is it gonna
cost.
cost to take the tower
Don't know. We was waiting on a quote to take the tower down.
I take it
And
down.
anything less than 36,000.
I take it down.
It's gonna cost.
It ain't gonna cost us 36,000.
No,
Everybody get back.
It's not gonna cost $32,000,
Yeah.
but
The whole county with radio is $30-something thousand.
Yeah.
But, I don't have that figure to give to you tonight. We were
Yeah.
waiting on that right there, but I ain't got it. But
Ms. Christine, I'll get you that information.
911 is transmitting off this old tower. That's where all the dispatching is coming from. Something's gonna have to, we got to move.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
this,
agree with it though, cause it costs us, it's less than 30, we gonna pay way less than 36,000 just to swap it and
But
put the antenna up.
but if you
I
get
mean-
the gist of the thing, either that tower's got to be maintained or we got to move, because all the 911, if that tower was to collapse, you got no 911.
Okay. And the county is gonna have access with it
And then
in
the
the
other
city.
thing is,
Okay.
FAA, I don't know what they would do if we don't act on the tower. We got to have a letter to send to the survival flight people to give the FAA saying that we're gonna take this tower down, or we're gonna have to light it in a time, we got to have it lit in a timely manner. If we get a letter from them telling we're gonna take it down, they'll give us a little leeway.
Rick, what's it gonna cost to take the old one down?
I don't know, we ain't got that figure, we was waiting on it today and the man didn't get back with us.
Cut the wire and watch it.
Get out of the way?
Yeah,
Well,
get back.
but if we agree to this tonight, the city's gonna have an agreement wrote up. You can review the agreement, and if it's not exactly like we'd like it to be, we can amend it some kind of way. But I mean, it's pretty much plain. I mean, there's no hidden things in it.
No, I'm fine with it.
We need a motion to move forward with it. Is there a
As
second?
long as it's amendment in there that, if we don't, we could change it.
Well,
As long as
the
it's an
one
amendment.
thing that they're gonna put in there, and in this agreement also, if something was to change, and they're gonna have some of they're gonna do some internet service or something down there, and this tower's gonna be tied into that, but the county's gonna have first right of refusal to purchase the tower.
Okay.
So we're not gonna say, hey, y'all got to get your stuff and move on.
Right,
That's gonna be in there also.
okay. Well, I agree.
Alan made the motion.
I second.
All right. Y'all in favor? All right, the motion's carried. The, next thing we got is not the downtown, but the development authority. There's two separate things. This is not the downtown development authority. It's the development authority. There's several people have passed away that were on that board. All right, two of them are still remaining on there.
They both ate it.
Well, several of them's they're wanting to come off. Two of them that's remained on there that need to be reappointed is Kevin Calhoun and Joel Josie. They need reappointed. All right, Jerry Torbett wants to come off, Howard Small wants to come off, Ray Grimsley wants to come off, Bill Cox passed away, and Wayne Carr passed away. All right, so we got Kevin Calhoun and Joel Josie, the two old ones. Rick LaGuardia has agreed to do it. I talked with Layden. He said he would be on there, and there's a provision to have a government official on there on the development authority. Dennis Shepard's the attorney over there. He looked into that. All right. You got Rick LaGuardia showed interest in it. Jeff Atkinson showed interest in it. Marty Tabb and Israel Houston and Layden. And they are new appointments, if that's agreeable, and the two old ones need reappointment on that. So we need to make probably two motions on this. If there's no discussion about these names,
I wanted to say I was reluctant to be on this board.
we ain't gonna meet but about 4 years, four
I just
times
want
a
to go on
year.
record, I was reluctant to be on the board.
But let me tell you why the board needs to be active, because the very thing that Debbie Henry was talking about with the FSA office,
You get money or
they
grant
get
money or
rent,
something.
federal
Yeah.
rent money from this FSA office. They're remodeling the office up to their specs. This used to be on state level. Now it's on a federal level and it's gotta come out of Washington, so this board
You have to
Got to
have this
be-
to get the grant money.
intact.
So that's why you have to have this board, and it needs to be an active board that meets. and
To get the
yeah,
grant.
yeah,
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 I
This
understand.
board's got to be active,
Mhm.
so we got to make some appointments. We need a motion to appoint Kevin Calhoun and Joel Josie as reappointments. Is there a second? Nikki second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. The other names, Rick LaGuardia, Jeff Atkinson, Marty Tabb, Israel Houston, and Layden Calhoun. Is there a motion to appoint these names? I'll make it. There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the motion's carried. All right, that's all we need to do with that right there. The loan agreement for the fueling station. At First State Bank, I need permission to sign that. I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. All right, we gotta open up a new bank account for this is the COVID money.
We had it in the, old Hurricane Michael account, because there's no money left in there, but we were told that the government wants it in a totally new account that nothing's ever, so if we open this one, I'll just transfer it over.
All right, I need a motion to open up a new bank account for ARPA funds.
So moved.
Mhm.
Alan seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion's carried. All right, last thing, other than, is there anything from department heads that we need to talk about? All right, we need to go into executive session about personnel.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Why is it that you never have black people on your board? How you come around picking board,
Listen,
every board you pick, don't have one black person?
yes, it does.
I hope
Hey,
for everybody in the county.
The hospital board down there has got Carolyn King on it.
How you pick a board with development authority without a black person on it? You don't think anybody is suitable in?
Leroy, these names, let me tell you something, these names were submitted to this board for approval.
By who?
They were recommended by old members here and the development authority attorney, yes.
No black people.
It ain't got nothing to do with black and white.
You just claimed that. You have no.
It ain't got nothing to do with black and white. Nothing to do with it. And everything ain't got to be a racial issue.
Everything you do is racist.
No, it ain't. That's not, don't say nothing else.
I'm through with it.
Well,
You can't tell me what to say when I'm through.
you're out of order if you talk again.
I asked you to talk and I talk, and I'm through.
I've give you permission to talk, but now you're
And
through.
I'm through. Let you go.
All right, we need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make it, Mr. Campbell, cut off.